Hi guys, it's Doc Vinyl again. I know I've had a long hiatus over the summer and fall. There's all kinds of things going on, so thought I'd get back to the show. Hopefully with kind of new, fresh insight. Going to start at some different things here. Today is going to be band focus on Chicago, the Terry Kath years. But before I get into that, I just want to give you a heads up on what's going on. I'm going to be doing some more videos, probably trying to drop them once a week, early week. Different bands. I have some thematic ideas that I've written down and done some research on that I'm going to start doing. So I'm going to start expanding the show a little bit. And it'd be nice if we could get some commentaries on the YouTube section of my, and if you like it, likes would be great. If better yet, subscribe if you're interested. So we could get some dialogue going on some of these bands. Obviously, some of the bands are going to be better than others to certain people and people's favorites. But without further ado, I'd like to know that Doc Vinyl is back, and we're going to go over the vinyl stuff. And today, we're going to do Chicago. Thought I'd put on a little music. I always like to kind of little sample the music. And this was the golden age of Chicago that you're hearing right now. Dialogue.
When it's time to function as a feeling human being with your bachelor,
now,
I'll help you get by.
obviously we're not going to play music through the whole thing, so I thought I'd put that down and just kind of start out with some of the music here. And we're going to discuss Chicago a little bit. We're going to give a little history, background of the band. The focus of what I'm going to do today is going to be the Terry Kath years, essentially. I'll do some mention of the later stuff, but not too much, and the band really just fell apart and changed a bit, and I will talk to it when I get to it. But we're going to talk about the formation. Chicago was formed in 1967, in Chicago, of course. A lot of them were in school at the time, music students, what have you. But the core band was Robert Lahm on keyboards, vocals too, Terry Kath on guitar, Walter Penzanita on various woodwind instruments, and Jimmy Pankow on trombone, and Danny Serafine on drums. So that was the core. And then in '67, they were called the Big Thing because they were a big band. And they formulated some new members. So one of them was Peter Cetera on bass and vocals. They needed another vocalist, so they brought in Peter Cetera. And then they brought in Lilo Gain on various horns, which of course broadened the horn section and gave it more of a rhythm and blues, kind of a very jazz-centered focus band. But a very unique band, very similar to a lot of other bands who were evolving around the same time, such as Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Santana, and others that had, elements of other music that wasn't rock and roll. So like a hybrid form of music. So Chicago forms in 1967. 68 is really when they get the things going. They play at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Of course, a very politically imbued environment, kind of like today. All things like Hell No, I Won't Go. And matter of fact, their first album, which I'm going to go over in a minute, kind of goes over part of that, and it's in the album. It's recorded some of the protest movements of the late 60s during the Vietnam War, the civil rights, and various other things. So it's a very historical aspect of the band. So by 1968, they go to California and they play at the Go-Go Bar in West Hollywood, which of course they get a lot of exposure in 1968 to many people. One of the little anecdotal stories is that Jimi Hendrix had ran into the band and he said, "My God, this is an amazing band. You have a great horn line and you have a guitarist that's better than me." And he was referring to Terry Kath. And of course, one of the things I will emphasize is that Terry Kath is probably by far one of the most underrated rock and roll guitarists because he was in such a big band and he was an integral part, and he also sang. But great stuff nevertheless. So a lot of anecdotal stories. So by 1968, they're formulating their first album. They get signed with Columbia, and their first album comes out in late 68, early 69 called Chicago Transit Authority. Now, of course, Chicago Transit Authority was the original name of the band. They got sued by the CTA, the actual Chicago Transit Authority in Chicago, so they had to drop it, so they just dropped it to Chicago. And that happened around 1969, 1970. So their second album was just titled Chicago, which is commonly known as Chicago 2. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the albums, the discography. And again, this isn't a complete discography of all their albums. It does not include live albums because I believe Chicago 4 is live. It's 1, 2, and 3 live. It doesn't include Chicago 9 and another one, which are just greatest hits albums. These are the studio albums in the Terry Kath years. Okay, that's predominantly what I do here. There's a couple other, I'll do like 16 and 17 and Hot Streets, and I'll talk about them. So let's start. Chicago, 1968, early 69, the first album that's released is, of course, Chicago Transit Authority. What an album. First of all, it's a double album. okay? We're looking at quite a lexicon of work here by this band. I mean, seriously, look at this. I mean, we got Peter Cetera, Terry Kath on the SG guitar, really great stuff here. Pankow, Logain, and Danny Seraphine, Robert Lama on keyboards. Just a massive, massive band. Big hits for side one. Introduction, which was really good. Very keyboard driven, lots of horns, very rock and roll rhythmy, nice stuff. Then a big hit. Does anybody really know what time it is? Very big hit, and then beginnings. So side one's really introducing the band with big hit after hit after hit. Side two is Question 67 and 68. Listen and Poem is on side two. Side three is a freeform guitar, very 60s. Great profile of Mr. Terry Kath on guitar. Some great stuff he plays on that. He plays South California Purples, and then they do a cover. They do a cover of a Spencer Davis song originally done by Steve Winwood called I'm a Man. And their version, and I love Steve Winwood, mind you know that, I've done Traffic. Their version's pretty damn good. It's rich, it's big, it's got percussions and horns. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's just different than the Winwood version with the Spencer Davis band. I like both, mind you, but Chicago does do a great cover of it. Then on side four, they do Prologue, August 29th, 1968, and Someday, August 29th, 1968, and Liberation. And those are all about the Democratic National Convention, and you can hear the background crowd noise of the protest speeches and what have you. It's just amazing. Again, great album, very big album, very not really, as a debut album, one of the best. And a lot of people, it was on my debut album list too, so they're really good. So, now in 1969, 1970, comes out Chicago 2. Now this is when they drop the Transit Authority and just call themselves Chicago. Now this album, when it originally came out, was just called Chicago, but we refer to it as Chicago 2. This is another double album. Their second album is a double album. This has a kind of a thematic kind of theme thing going on here. Opens up with the Read, Power to the People, In the Country, great stuff. Wake Up Sunshine, very hit-like stuff. There's so much to say. Make Me Smiles on this. Color My World, which is a Robert Lahm song. Again, it features very different vocal people. The three major vocalists in this band are Peter Cetera, Robert Lahm, and Terry Kath. And by far, my favorite is not Peter Cetera. I think Terry Kath and Robert Lahm are my favorite vocalists in this band. There's Fancy Colors, 250624, which becomes one of their standards, is on this. Prelude. Just really a great album. And the one thing that's cool about this album is that a lot of these songs go right into each other. So it's like there's no break. So it's very much indicative of the vinyl era. So they play the music, and it just goes right through. And it's, it's just fun. It's an experience. You put it on, you listen to Chicago. Great stuff. Great album. Now, the follow-up, not just 1 and 2, but 3 is also a double album, which is really amazing. Chicago 3, released in 1971. Just amazing stuff on this one. This one, of course, is another album that has... let me get my glasses on, because I'm having a hard time reading here. Getting old. This has Sing a Mean Tune Kid, Loneliness is Just a Word, What Else Can I Say, I Don't Want Your Money, great songs. Travel Suite, Flight 602, Motorboat to Mars, which of course, great guitar work on that. Free Country, Happy Because I'm Going, Mother, Lowdown is on this. Just a lot of really good songs. Again, another thematically based album. This comes out in late 70, early 71. Sorry, I didn't want to lead you. And this is Chicago 3. Very good album. I'm just have to say, some great stuff. So, now Chicago 4 I don't cover, which is a live album at Carnegie Hall. It's a 4-disc album, and it's basically Chicago 1, 2, and 3 in live versions. Now, the next album that comes out is one of my favorites, which I was playing when the show started, is Chicago 5. Great album. This really starts to showcase some of the really great works of Chicago. As you can see here, I love the kind of the wood theme here going on. And this really has some good stuff on it too. This starts to have some of the classics that everyone has on it, that people know. This has All Is Well, Dialogue Part 1 and 2, which I was playing. And then on side 2, it has While the City Sleeps, Saturday in the Park, which of course becomes a very big hit. State of the Union, Good Year, and Alma Mater. And then this is a very bluesy oriented album. Lots of great guitar work. Just a really great album. Probably one of my favorite of the early Chicago albums, besides Chicago 1. Again, I'm not going to rank these albums. It's be killer. I mean, there's so many good ones. I mean, their first albums are just amazing. But yes, this is just some really good stuff. So Chicago 5 really kind of showcases a change in the band a little bit, and more of a hard rocker, heavy blues. And now we get into Chicago 6. This has more hits on it. This has Critics' Choice. This has Just You and Me, which of course was the follow-up to Saturday in Park, one of the big hits. Now, of course, that's Just You and Me was written by Jimmy Pankow and sung by Robert Lom. Then there's Jenny, written by Terry Kath. And then on side 2 is Something the City Changes People, Hollywood, Rediscovery. And again, a lot of it, they have 1 or 2 hits, but just really, just an amazing album, as you can see. They're moving away here from the California scene. They're recording up in the outwoods of Illinois. Some great stuff. They start to produce their own studio, and they're really becoming a really, really big hit. Really big band, playing lots of live shows, getting really, really large. And they were like on the radio constantly. And then comes out Chicago, I believe this is Chicago 7. Again, another great album. This is just, again, showing where they've been shooting out in the West and the Midwest. And this right here, this has some great stuff on it. Let me grab the inner sleeve, because some of the, back in those days, a lot of the stuff was put on the inner sleeves. Just to go over what's on this album real quick. This is, again, another single album. Side 3, 4. Oh my, this is another, I'm sorry, I was wrong. This is another double album. Oh my God, I always got to keep on top of this. Just really great stuff on this one. As I grab them, I'm going to grab both of them. I didn't realize the sheets on this. There's 2 sheets. Again, Chicago put on Prelude to Alive. This has Air, Devil's Sweet. Again, this has a lot of instrumentals on it. Hanky Panky, Lifesaver, Happy Man, which becomes another one of their standards. Then on side 3, that's I've Been Searching So Long, another greatest hits. Song of the Evergreens, Biblios is on this. And then on the other side is Call on Me, Wishing You Were Here, another big song. Women Don't Want to Love Me, and then Skinny Boy. Very interesting. Each song's written by different members of the band. Again, very, very big album. Chicago 7, really on the charts. Really kind of, taking away a lot of hits out of it. And then comes out Chicago 8. This is kind of an interesting little release here, if you don't mind me saying. This has a special iron-on patch, which I believe is in here. I could even show it to you. It has everything. It's just kind of like a collector's item. So, ooh. So yeah, here's the iron-on patch. See, I put it in a Ziploc bag. Kind of crazy, I know. So yeah, and so you can make your own Chicago concert T-shirt with your own. Look, see, this is Chicago. So yeah, so cool, huh? And then a lot of these came with posters too. I forgot. Oh yeah, this one has a poster. It was like 3 or 4 of these have posters. And then the songs on this one were just really, really good. This is side 1 has Any Way You Want, Brand New, Part 2, Never Been So Long, Till We Meet Again, and side 2 is Harry Truman. And this has Old Days, one of my favorite songs. Old Days. Very good, very upbeat song. Now, Chicago 8 is a really, really good album. It's showcasing more of a poppy hit sound to it. You can start to see that the Cetera vocals start to get more dominant. That's either a good or bad thing, depending on your perspective and whether or not you like Terry Kath. Peter Cetera. Again, I'm mixed on that. When I get to it, I don't want to be too negative about it, but I'm not a big fan of the Peter Cetera era. Then comes Chicago 9, which is greatest hits, and then Chicago 10. This is really the last big complete album. This is really big. This has If You Leave Me Now on it. If You Leave Me Now. Very, very big hit. Again, another poster. This is another one that has a poster on it. And this has You Get Up. This has just a lot of big hits on it. And this is really starting to showcase the lead and dominance of the voice of Peter Cetera together again and what have you. And this is the album that starts to take a turn. Now, the next album is Chicago 11, which is their last album with Terry Kath. This album is much different. I think this is kind of a reaction to the Peter Cetera dominance vocals in the last 2 albums. This song has got a lot of bluesy, guitar-oriented songs. It's very big input on Terry Kath on this one. It's got the whole kind of gangster thing going on, which I think is, they have these little thematic pictures that they put on. They're really cool. And then this album really is, if we look at it here, I pull out the cut sheet on this one on the inner sleeve, and it opens up with Mississippi Delta Blues. Really amazing guitar work by Terry Kath. Even these other albums have some great work on it. You just listen to it, you're like, wow, this guy is a really good guitarist. And then, of course, can't escape it. It does have the big Peter Cetera hit, Baby What a Big Surprise. Baby What a Big Surprise. Everyone knows that song. Of course, that was the big one of the album. Till the End of Time. Those two were really Cetera songs. Policeman came out. Take Me Back to Chicago, which was really Robert Laum's song. And then Vote for Me was really cool. This is, of course, released in 1978. Taking It Uptown. This time, The Inner Struggles, Little One, which is really good. Little One's written by Terry Kath. I think it was 78. It might be 77 if I'm getting me wrong. Let me just get you the right date. No, 1977, I'm sorry, because Terry Kath, which I'm going to go over in a minute, dies in 1978. January of 1978. So, this is really the end of an era, of the Terry Kath era. And, of course, the Terry Kath era is the era that I like the most with Chicago. To me, they're really, I think they're the best time period for me. But, it's debatable, because their number one selling album isn't this time period, even though these albums all did well. These albums are all gold and platinum hit albums, no doubt about that. So, now, the tragic story of Terry Kath, let me go over that a little bit. On January 23rd, I have little notes here, on 1978, Terry Kath was at a party with the band, and I've read a whole bunch of different things about this. They said he had some bouts with depression, but nothing crazy, but he had a massive gun collection, and I guess he was drinking a lot, and he's with some of the band members and friends, and he was, playing around with the gun, and he put it at his head and didn't think it was loaded, and it was. He shot himself in front of a whole bunch of people at a party. Whoa! Not cool. But, sad, very true, very tragic. The band almost fell apart right there once Terry Kath shot himself, because he was obviously one of the main founding members and the drawing power of the band. So it really impacted them a lot. But it took them about almost a year to put out an album after his death in January of '78, because they had just cut Chicago 11, and that is the first album that's not numerically numbered, which is very interesting. And that album, actually I have right here, which isn't a bad album, is Hot Streets. Now, Hot Streets is the first non-Terry Kath album. So the vocals are kind of split up between Robert Laum and Peter Cetera, but the new member to replace Terry Kath, which was tough, was Donnie Dacus. And Donnie Dacus was a decent guitarist and a vocalist too. So as you can see, kind of right here, kind of interesting thing. Now the songs on this are pretty good. They're not. Without Terry Kath, it's definitely a different band. As we look at the songs, side one has Alive Again, which is pretty good. That's got kind of a nice driving beat, some decent guitar work on it, nice horns, very tight horn line. The Greatest Love on Earth, take it or leave it, sappy ballad. Little Miss Lovin', same thing. Hot Streets isn't bad. Take a Chance is okay. Gone Long Gone is pretty decent, going back to the old Chicago style. Ain't It Time, Love Was New, No Tell Lover, which is actually one of my better of the Peter Cetera songs, and Show Me the Way. Again, a solid effort by them to really kind of get the band back together. Now, that's going to conclude my Chicago. I have a couple others here. I don't go over, I think there's 13, 14, 15. I mean, they're all kind of hit or miss albums. They're not doing so well. They struggle until David Foster comes along. Now, this is where I'm mixed. David Foster is really the... I'm looking through my notes here. He comes in on Chicago 16, 17. He produces him. Chicago 16 it comes out in, I think it's 82, 83. Yeah, 1982. I was right. Again, this is a kind of a big album. I have it. It had a really big hit on it that really put them on the boards, and that was Hard to Say I'm Sorry, and Everybody Got Away. You know the song. I mean, it's good. It's a little slick. It's kind of, I don't know, very poppy, but not bad. It has no horns in it, and some of the other songs on this are good. They have some Chicago jamming on it that's decent, but it's few and far between. This is a shadow of what the band was, and it was going in a new direction. The new direction was the David Foster, Peter Cetera dominant vocal, let's write ballad love songs, let's write pop hits. And of course, 16 leads to one of their biggest albums of all time, and that's Chicago 17. Now, I'm mixed on this album. I like some of the songs, and of course, it came out in 1985. I graduated in 86, so this music was played on the radio ad nauseum. So it does have a special place in my heart for, knowing all these songs. And of course, dating and going out and every girl, oh, play that. You're my inspiration, and hard habit to break. And I mean, this is full of hits. But again, It says, stay the night, we can stop the hurting, hot habit to break, remember the feeling, then along comes a woman, you're the inspiration, once in a lifetime. Again, it probably has about 4 or 5 hits. The most hits on our Chicago album, David Foster produced. It's slicker than snot in a doorknob. It sounds great. It's got that whole da-da-da-da. The horns are kind of in the background. The old Chicago sound that you loved during the Terry Kath years is really gone here. This is Peter Cetera dominated. The vocals of anyone else is just in the background. There's no lead vocals. Robert Lom sings some stuff, but mostly harmonizing vocals with Cetera. Again, success was really kind of its downfall because this album is so successful. It's also the last album with Peter Cetera. He leaves the band and has a solo career, semi-successful if you like that type of music. Chicago 18 comes out as the first album. They do a couple others without him. They kind of slip back into a different style, but again, it's okay. Not my favorite period of Chicago. I have it because of just sentimental reasons, but again, this Terry Kath is a solid part of Chicago. So, I hope you guys liked it. I tried to cover them as extensively as I could and cover some major material, but again, like I said, it wasn't a complete discography of Chicago by any way, and by any shape of the imagination. There's many stuff in between and then later, but it was a focus on the Terry Kath years. Okay. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give me some likes. Subscribe if you want to get involved. It'd be great. I'd like to hear what you have to say. What are your favorite Chicago albums? What's your favorite period? If you like the David Foster, Peter Cetera, let me know. Tell me why. You know, everyone has a different opinion, and that's what makes this fun. So, this is stay safe. I hope everything's okay. I hope everyone's doing well in the current crisis, and things are getting better with the vaccine out now. So let's hope for the best. And I'll hopefully be back next week with another band in focus. And you guys stay safe and take it easy.